Alright, this video is going to show the removal and replacement of the high fuel pressure pump for a 2011 A5 Quattro by Audi. So apparently the reason why I'm replacing this is because there's some type of leak in the intake system. One way of checking this is removing this oil cap and smelling in here. It smelled a lot like gasoline. It shouldn't smell like gasoline inside. Maybe some burn oil, but not gasoline. So besides getting a code 2279, if you get a code 2279, it's most likely because it's a leak in the intake system. So we're going to begin with removing this guy, as it's known to common fail on these Audis. All right, let's start by disconnecting these clips, and remember you got to push back on these gray and then pull out. I have loosened it up already, but that's how you remove this clip. That way we can move it out of the way. This hose is usually clamped around with these little brackets. If you can unclip it from there, that gives you a little bit more room to push this hose out that we will be disconnecting from here. As you can see, I loosened it up with some regular pliers. It just has a clamp, and you pull it out. When you pull it out, you're gonna have some gasoline squirt out from it, so just be prepared to have a rag under to catch all that. Like I said, by unclipping it from here, you can move this hose out of the way now, kind of tug it in behind, gives you a little bit more view. And then the switch that you took out, it also has a routing. You could just push it out of the way to the back. From this view, these rubber hoses that run along this rail here kind of get in the way of you removing the bottom screw from there. So they're just attached by these clips. Go ahead and unclip them from here. Just pop them out by opening them. It has a couple, like one right here. I believe the other one's right here, attached to the aluminum rail. And then there's one more in the back attached to the aluminum rail there. Just unclip them, and that helps you kind of push this back again, because you want to reach under here. So here's a view of the bottom screw that I'm talking about. It's the star shaped screw. I will let you know the size of it right now, but that's at the bottom, and that's why we got to move these hoses out of the way. And at the same time, you can actually check them to see if any of them are ripped or cracked, because that would just give you that same code again, even though you replaced the high pressure fuel pump here. All right, so let's focus here on the bottom of the high pressure fuel pump. There is a aluminum line that runs from the bottom. Just loosen it, and this will push this rail down. As you can see, I can move it. You will have some fuel leaks, so make sure you have a rag to catch all that under there. So to remove that line at the bottom of the high pressure fuel pump, you're going to use the 11/16 wrench, and you can easily put it from the side right here. You have plenty of room to sneak it in from the side and loosen him up and remove it. Now this screw right here goes right here in this aluminum rail, which is the same one that runs under the pump that you just loosened previously with the 11/16 wrench. If you remove that screw, it gives you a little bit more flexibility to the hose, where you can move it out of the way when you remove the pump. I ended up using T30 to remove that screw. All right, so finally we have all the hoses out of the way that I spoke about removing. Just push to the sides. The electrical switch, the bottom hose has been disconnected, along with the little screw that I spoke about that helps loosen that up. Now we can go ahead and remove the two bolts that are holding the pump, which is one right here at the top, and I believe I focused earlier on the other one, and it's over there way at the end. You can see it. I can point to it. It's right there. So it's really easy to reach. I'm going to use extension, okay, along with the T50, I believe, T50, and that should do the trick. Now these are compressed in with a spring, so they recommend that you loosen them a couple turns at a time. Take your time going back and forth to those two bolts. That way you can remove it evenly straight out and without damaging any other part of the car. So let's do it. So I had broken these loose already. They're not too tight. So now I'm just twisting by hand using this at the edge if you have one of those. If not, you can just use your hand. They're not that tight. So I'm doing a couple turns there. Then I'm going down here. See if I can focus for you. Okay, hold on. Alright, that's why I wanted to move all these hoses out of the way where you guys can really see what I'm doing. So there's a good view of the bottom screw. Twisting a couple turns at a time just for you to get an idea where I'm at. I'm sticking that from the bottom and it's pretty easy to access. If you push all these hoses, like I said at the beginning, out of the way, you'll have even a better view of it and you won't struggle as much. So moving up to the top, a couple more turns. I don't think they're that long of a screw. And again, take your time on these. I think it's coming loose already. I can feel it. I think I can probably even go all the way already on the bottom screw, and I think that's it. It's completely loose. Top, it looks like it's already completely loose, and as you can see, that's as much as it rebound from the spring. Let's look at it in here. Before we remove anything and touch anything, you guys can see, I already see an O-ring, which is the one they talk about that really goes bad. And eventually that causes fuel to go inside your crankcase where the oil's at, mixing in there. And that gives you that code P2279, along with another 2288, I believe. But yeah, this is one of the main reasons. A smoke test can detect this, but hey, they go bad, and smelling the oil once you remove the oil cap really kind of confirm that there's fuel leaking in there. So, you know, no further need to investigate. This guy, it's the guy. Let's continue. Let's pull it out. So right off the bat, let's see if we can get these screws with a magnet. You know, we don't want to lose them or drop them anywhere. Getting the other one from the bottom. I'm just using a big magnet. There you go. They're not that long. So now all the screws are removed. This thing pretty much popped out on its own till there. I'm about to pull it out, reveal what's in there. And I think you can just wiggle this out. And there you go, guys. That is the high pressure fuel pump. There's the seal that might be corrupt. Yeah, there you go. I'll give you guys a look of what it looks inside. That's the bottom hose. You can see it looks pretty old. There was no leak through there. It's not wet anywhere else, but the code that you get through the computer. All right, here we are. Here is the inside of that after removing the high pressure fuel pump. I don't see any other rubber rings in there. However, there is a piece in there that they recommend for us to replace. You can see that round thing in the center that just comes out, and we're about to take that out right now. About to take that piece out. It seems like you can just stick your finger in and it slides out very easy. Just go ahead and pull it out. It should have like a little wheel bearing at the end. Just don't drop it. You see that? So let's take a closer look at it now and see if there's something we might need to guide ourselves by. It looks like it has this nipple here, which most likely, if that nipple was on top when I took it out, then the new one should go right exactly the same way. As you can see, focus, the circle does have a cutoff on the top, which means this thing only goes one way. Can't mess it up. All right, let's do this. If you guys are interested in the high pressure fuel pump part number, I believe it's this top one, fuel pump. The middle one is the cam flow part number. That's the little piece that we remove after the pump from inside. And the seal ring, that's just an extra ring that we bought, but we really don't need it. The pump comes with one already. And just to give you a quick estimate on the price, we got these directly from Audi, so they're original parts. And yeah, there you go. All right, here is the new cam roller. You guys can see how it looks with the bearing. The nipple doesn't quite look the same as the OEM, but it doesn't really matter. What matters is that it fits. Here is the pump. Now this is OEM. All right, just a quick update here on comparison. This is the new part, this is the old part. As you can see, they pretty much look the same. The only thing that I see slightly different is the way the electrical is. This one's pointing up, this one's pointing forward. Not a big deal. You should have plenty of extra cable. Here's a comparison of the old one and the new one. So you can see this one just looks a little bit more beefier, you can say, than this one. But still, just a mechanical bearing. Shouldn't be too bad to put this one. Let's continue. All right, so we're about to install this piece here. So if you guys don't know the name, Audi told us it's called cam follow. Just in case you guys don't know, this goes again, the nipple part is pointed up to match the cut on the circle that I showed earlier, and it's just slide right in. All right, so I'm about to push this in, just trying to align it here. And you saw that, it just slides right in, real smooth. No need to push it hard. You don't need a tool. It slides right in. If you're pushing it hard and you can't get it past the entrance here, you're doing something wrong, or something's crooked, something's bent. It's just like really smooth. It almost slide on its own. Cool, let's move on to the pump. So right before I put this piece on here, I'm just gonna rub a little bit of oil on the gasket. That way it slides in easy, and you don't cause any small ridges or rips on it as it goes in. All right, so this piece pretty much wiggles in here. The bottom piece that bolts onto the aluminum hose there goes facing down, and obviously this goes in like this. The hose need to align, so you can see here, pushing it in here. All right, so let's slide this in here. And remember, this thing is compressed, so you might not be able to push it all the way in. It's gonna rest right around there, the entrance of the gasket, and then you can start putting your bolts and use your bolts to slowly push it in evenly, tightening 1/2 a turn or full turn back and forth on the 2 bolts I showed earlier, the T50. All right guys, just a quick recap. Remember, the reason why you can't push it in by hand is because of this spring here. So we're gonna use the bolts to slowly push in the pump evenly. All right guys, there's the bottom screw. I'm using the extension with the socket, putting it in by hand first, and then I'm gonna start going on the top back and forth as the pump goes in slowly, and I'll show another angle of that. All right guys, here's a top view of the pump. I'm tightening the top, and you can see as every turn it pushes it a little bit, which is why you have to switch back and forth on the bolts. All right, here's the bottom screw being tightened. can see it's pushing down on it. Now I'm coming back to the top. And you can see the gasket already went in. And yeah, just take it like that, guys, back and forth slowly until the pump is pretty much flush in there, nice and flat. All right, everyone, got the 2 bolts tied up. You can see the pump sits down nice and flush. Hopefully it didn't go crooked at any point and everything went in smoothly. Now I'm gonna go and connect the electrical, clip all these hoses back to where they belong, and I'll show that. And also the fuel line that goes into this edge. And let's not forget the bottom rail that goes under this pump, which is pretty much next. All right, see if you guys can see where I'm at. This line here just sits right on the edge of this, and this just goes up. There is no gasket in here that I saw when I removed. So all right, guys, I got it on there. It went up very smoothly, like I said. This little bracket here, it seems like it used to hold this electrical hose here that wraps all the cables. That's all it does. So feel free to bend it out of the way if you need to. If it makes it easier, it's not harming the pump or anything else. It's just bolted onto the actual block. All right, guys, again, from the back end and the side like this, pushing the hoses down, you can go ahead and clamp the hose and start tightening it. I don't think this goes ridiculously tight. Give it a good tightening and that should be enough. All right, guys, let's move on to the T30 screw that holds that aluminum rail. There you go. All right, so now I'm just gonna route these hoses that are on the side. You can kind of see the markings of where these clips used to go. Just press them in. Then the electrical. This one's even better now because it's facing this way. It no longer twists this way like the old one. So you can go ahead and now just clip it in there, push that in. This little clip here, again, it goes onto that hose. And if you follow it, there's another one here and it just clips onto there. That takes care of this whole little hose assembly that goes around this. Now, the fuel line, which goes right here. Gotta take the plastic cover that the new pump comes with. And remember this big clip there, that's pretty much for this hose. All right, once you have the hose in there, you're gonna need some pliers to squeeze in these clamp on top. Slowly work yourself in like this until you reach the end. It looks like that's pretty good right there. And then now you can see where the clamp used to be. Check that it's not tore. And if it was, you know, you might need to change the hose. So if not, everything looks good. So we can slide it in here. There we go. All right, so there you go. That's the installation of the high pressure fuel pump. Pretty much consists of just a couple hoses, one electrical clip. Other than that, it's a pretty simple process. Without recording this video, I probably would have changed it within an hour, give or take. Nothing complicated besides removing it real slow and making sure that all the bolts don't strip as you're tightening them and everything goes in back straight. You shouldn't have any issues with anything else. It's a pretty basic procedure. And after that, it's pretty much pressurizing it, priming it, however you want to call it. That way we can get some fuel in here and make sure the lines are pressured before it cranks up. Delete the codes and we'll take it from there. All right guys, finally everything's put back together. Just to give you guys a tip, if you end up changing the high pressure fuel pump, you will definitely need to change this aluminum bottom hose, which I'm about to change right now. It leaks from there, so you can't really reuse them according to the dealer. Apparently some you can, some you can't. This one I couldn't. No matter what I did, it kept leaking. So here's the part number, just in case you guys need to order this hose. Looking at it, it's really easy to remove, since we already saw how to remove it under here. The other thing you need to do is next to this, there's these two little things which has two screws. You can see on these two towers, those two screws hold this base here, which all it's doing is kind of holding all the electricals together. So if you take those two screws off, this whole bunch of electricals comes down, all the way down. And then you're only gonna have this one little switch here, which you can see right here. This one, real easy to remove. You remove that, you get all of this out of the way, and you can stick your hand under the intake and you can definitely reach that nut that's down there. Really easy to remove this hose. It took maybe like 10-15 minutes to remove it, and that's just one thing you guys might need to change. All right, peace. Here's a comparison of the old piece versus the new. The one on my left will be the new one. The one on the right is the used one. You can kind of tell the reshape of it. Seems like you can only use these once, and after that they may leak, which is a reason to change it. All right, there you go guys. The hose is changed. I can test it, my fingers are dry. They used to leak from right here. Very easy to change. Just a little quick instructions on how I did it. You loosen it from there, take it off, and then you gotta come across here, and you see that one, you gotta loosen that one, and then you wiggle it out. Again, these are 11/16 both sides. So I'm gonna stick it through here like this, and you can see the wrench in here. I can easily either grab it like this or flip the wrench the other side to either loosen it or tighten it. So you're gonna be going in like this and like this until you manage to either tighten it or loosen it, whichever what you're doing. And that's how I took that piece off. All right guys, to remove the two bolts that I just explained, you will be using the T30. If you guys can see that, T30, that takes care of these two screws. They're real small, and again, they'll be holding that bracket. Cool. All right guys, putting the rack back up. So it just goes in like that, and you bolt it up, the two screws. Cool. All right, that was it for this video guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for the next fix. Peace.